Is that the game? Liverpool win 2-1. Arne Slot goes rushing onto the pitch like he forgot to shake hands with Enzo Maresca. Liverpool win 2-1. And I gotta say, I think it's deserved. I think it's deserved. The first half was crazy. But look, I think that's deserved. I think Liverpool are worthy winners here, man. Was it easy? No, it wasn't. The first half was for a neutral, very, very enjoyable. Very, very enjoyable. From the first minute, to be honest with you. Potential penalties, the whole red card situation in terms of was it a red card for Tosin, was it not? There were a number of penalty shouts for both teams. The goal that Liverpool scored through a penalty, through Mohamed Salah. The second half, within 4 minutes, Chelsea equalized. Few minutes later, Liverpool jumped back into the lead. Some late drama at the end, and Nkunku so close to getting an equalizer for Chelsea. But as a neutral, an extremely entertaining game. And I think the correct result. I think Liverpool edged this game, and rightfully so. But yeah, I mean, you looked at the starting lineups for both teams. I think the first question was Reece James and Lavia. First appearances for both of them in quite a while. Romeo Lavia, I can remember him playing against City the first game, where I was on the record. I thought he was Chelsea's best midfielder on the day, between himself, Enzo, and Caicedo. And today, oh my days. Romeo Lavia only played about 51 minutes, but I think he was exceptional in those 51 minutes. I think he was so good, and I think it gives a massive selection problem. I say problem, but I don't think it's too much of a problem. I don't see how Enzo Fernandez starts for this Chelsea team when everyone is fit. And I don't want to make this a whole thing about Enzo, because this game, there's a lot of talking points, and Enzo is a very small part of it. But the way Caicedo has played against City, and the way he's played today, not Caicedo, excuse me, the way Lavia played against City, and the way Lavia played today, if Lavia can remain fit, and that's the biggest question mark here, right? Because his fitness since he's joined Chelsea has been a little iffy. But if he can stay fit, I'm sorry, he starts for me. And I think out of the two, I think Caicedo has shown you more, especially this season, that it should be Caicedo and Lavia. I think that's got to be the midfield pairing going forward. I thought Lavia today was exceptional in terms of his breaking up of play, the ground he was covering, the passing through the lines, the progressive passing. I thought Lavia was really impressive for Chelsea today. Now, Reece James, on the other hand, this looks like a player that hasn't played that many games in the last year. He looked clunky. He looked heavy. On the ball, he's still a brilliant player. He had some nice passes again through the lines, but defensively, I would just say physically, for me, I thought Reece James was off of it. And that's to be expected, right? Like I said, he's missed a lot of football. And he's not match fit whatsoever. But damn, I think he struggled at times that first half. But yeah, Chelsea for me, right? Defensively, they were a little suspect. And I think the biggest talking point of this game, or at least it would have been a lot bigger if it had gotten sent off, or if Liverpool hadn't won, the Tosin situation. Now, I have a screenshot here that I'm going to pull up. Obviously, I can't show footage, but this is going to have to do. This is Tosin versus Jota and Saliba versus Bournemouth yesterday. Evan Nilsson. One of these was determined to be a red card. As you can see, the Saliba one. The other one was deemed to be solely a yellow card. And look, I've seen this now a dozen times. I've seen the different angles. I've seen the arguments for both for and against. What I will say, I think Saliba's is more of a stonewall red card because of the distance away from goal. I think the ball is still a bit more central than the Chelsea situation, where I think it's going a bit wider. I think Colwill is closer to the ball than Ben White is. So, in terms of rankings, for me, the Saliba one is a 9 out of 10 red card. I think the Tosin one is maybe a 7 or an 8. But the fact is, they're both red cards. You don't judge this based on severity. At the end of the day, they are both, for me, stopping pretty clear goal-scoring opportunities. If Tosin doesn't take down Jota, you have to give him the benefit of the doubt that he has that much space to run into with no defenders in front of him and just the goalkeeper to beat. And he's going to have a good chance to score. Yes, it's further out. Yes, the ball goes a bit further wide. But at the end of the day, I think both of these are red cards. And look, we all hear the things about Arsenal fans, like, do they make too much out of their situations? And I think, yes, sometimes you can definitely accuse them of doing so. But if I was an Arsenal fan today, I would feel aggrieved that yesterday Saliba was given a red card and a situation so similar, just like less than 24 hours later, is deemed to be a completely different situation. You got to have some consistency here, man. I'm of the belief Saliba should have been sent off. But at the same time, Tosin was very fortunate to last in this game as long as he did. And if Liverpool hadn't won today, I think it would have been much more of a storyline. But regardless, the first half, for me as a neutral, it was extremely entertaining. Chelsea were really good on the ball. Liverpool, like I keep saying, yes, they have adopted numerous, traits to kind of look like an Arne Slot team. On the ball, they're much more in control. Defensively, they look much more solid than they did last season. But one thing has not changed, And whether you want to call it muscle memory or just this is the identity of Liverpool Football Club, no matter who the manager is. In transition, on the break, this team's disgusting. They were disgusting under Brendan Rodgers. They were disgusting under Jurgen Klopp. They're disgusting now under Arne Slot. And hell, they might be disgusting in 5 years if Xabi Alonso ends up being the manager. In transition, this team is crazy. Salah, Jota, Gakpo, and then when Nunez came on as well too. Wow, when these guys start stretching their legs and running in behind, they're a problem. Salah today, I thought, played such a perfect performance for an attacker. Whether it was as a goal scorer, whether it was as a creator, whether it was in terms of taking on his man, whether it was in terms of putting balls in behind, his Trivela to Nunez, and then Nunez kind of plays it into to Jones, which at the time we thought was a penalty, but it turned out Robert Sanchez got a touch on it. And then Salah's pass to Curtis Jones for the goal that ended up happening. Yes, Curtis Jones should probably be marked a lot better in that situation. But the pass from Salah is so deceiving. It's so accurate. It's so brilliant. And that encapsulates Mohamed Salah in 2024. He is now the complete attacker. He has everything in his arsenal. And today, that penalty levels him on goals all time in the Premier League with Jermaine Defoe. It puts him a goal behind Robbie Fowler, and it puts him within touching distance of some of the finest marksmen that this league has ever seen. And I'm sorry, that just sums up Mohamed Salah. For me, the most productive winger I've ever seen in my life. And by far and away, the most productive winger the Premier League has ever seen. I thought he was absolutely brilliant today. I thought Trent Alexander-Arnold did such a lockdown job on Jadon Sancho, bar one moment, which in live time I didn't actually see. But on further replay, I think he was extremely fortunate not to concede a penalty. I think he stamps on Sancho there. I think he does. And for me, it's a penalty. I thought Trent was faultless today, honestly. Every other incident, he locked up Sancho. And even when Pedro Neto came on too, Pedro Neto didn't find great success against Trent. In fact, Pedro Neto only really grew into the game once Trent came off and Gomez came on. So I think Trent was incredible today. But I think it was a penalty. He stamps on Sancho, bro. His foot stamps down on Sancho, bringing him down. I think Liverpool were lucky there. For me, look, Chelsea are impressive. They're an impressive team. I went into this game kind of thinking this was the first real test for Arne Slot. Because as good as he's been, let's be real, the first few games, they were games you would expect Liverpool to win. And Chelsea, I kind of put that City game on the back burner. I'm not going to say it didn't happen, but it's not for me a good way of judging Maresca and this Chelsea team because it was Maresca's first game. You're playing against Manchester City, the champions, arguably the best team on the planet. Yeah, I think he was still figuring out his team, so I don't really consider that. Since the Man City game, Chelsea have been very, very good, but again, the fixtures haven't been the toughest on paper. So I looked at this game and I thought it's the first real test for Maresca, and it's the first real the first real test for Arne Slot. And I think on the ball, Maresca and his Chelsea team passed with flying colors. They finished the game with more possession than Arne Slot's team, which is very, very impressive. I did think in the second half in front of goal, they didn't really threaten Liverpool as much as they probably would have wanted to, but they had a good control of that game. And I think, like I said, that midfield partnership of Caicedo and Lavia, that's the way to go if they can stay fit. But I'm sorry, I would be aggrieved if I didn't speak about Cole Palmer today. That's a disappointing performance from Cole Palmer. And we talk about this guy as one of the best players in the Premier League, one of the best players in world football, and I think he is. But I'm somebody that kind of holds the best players in the world, or at least in my opinion, to a high regard. And I hold them to high standards. I have to be honest with you, Cole Palmer for me was unanimous today. He was anonymous, He was anonymous today. I didn't think he had any impact on the game whatsoever. I didn't think he got on the ball anywhere near enough. I think when he did get on it, someone in my chat pointed it out to me, and I completely agree. I think Curtis Jones was almost like following him like a shadow today. I think Cole Palmer found it incredibly difficult to really put his stamp his authority on proceedings today. And I'm not going to go as far as, because I'm sure social media right now is ripping him a new one. That's how it works. I'm not going to go as far as saying Cole Palmer is not a big game player. This is a guy that scored goals against City, United. I think he scored against Spurs. Come on. He scored in a Euro final. I'm not going to kind of stamp him with that mark right now. But if we're going to call Cole Palmer one of the best players in the world, you got to hold him to the standards. And today, he didn't play anywhere near that level. The players I thought were really good today. Madueke, I thought, ran Robertson ragged, especially in the first half. I thought Nico Jackson, today, the way he takes his goal, this guy is now becoming clinical, Chad. Nico Jackson now is becoming a top-level number 9 in the Premier League. The finishing is now part of his arsenal, and you already know how much of his overall game is already at a pretty good level as well, too. I thought Neto wasn't class. I thought Neto did a lot better when Trent came off. but I thought Neto really found it hard to kind of get into the game after halftime. I thought the substitution of Enzo didn't really do much, genuinely. I didn't think he was that great. I didn't think Enzo was that great today. But on Liverpool's side, Gravenberch, for me, another commanding performance. I thought he was imperious. I thought he was so physically dominant. Again, continuing the form that we started the season off of. And a lot of people have looked at Gravenberch and said, yeah, he's been really good, but let's see his first test against the big teams. That's now Chelsea against Caicedo, Lavia, Enzo, and Cole Palmer, where I thought Gravenberch has been faultless. He's been strong in the tackle. He's been very, very good on the ball. I've been impressed with Gravenberch all season. I didn't think that stopped today. Curtis Jones, for me, remains one of the most underrated players in the Premier League. I don't think he gets his dues nearly enough, but for me, technically proficient, has an eye for goal, loves to snap into a tackle, and they laughed at me when I said for me, I would have taken Curtis Jones on the plane to the Euros over a guy like Conor Gallagher. I think Curtis Jones, in terms of teams that want to keep the ball, is much more suited to that kind of setup than a Conor Gallagher is. And I don't know what it is with Curtis Jones. Like, I feel like he's always the forgotten man for Liverpool. I feel like he always kind of gets left under the radar. But me personally, his performance today was better than anything Szoboszlai has given Liverpool this season. I think, for me, he starts for Liverpool. I would start a midfield three of himself, Gravenberch, and McAllister. So these are the stats between Chelsea and Liverpool. Liverpool are now unbeaten in their last 7 Premier League games against Chelsea, losing just 2 of the previous 20 league meetings between the two sides. Wow. 2 of the previous 20! Wow, how the mighty have fallen, man. Liverpool versus Chelsea used to be the rivalry. Oh my God, I remember so many vintage games between these two teams. They've lost 2 of the last 20. This is not a rivalry, man. They always kick your ass. Let's see the stats. 2-1 on the day. Expected goals, Liverpool 1.63 to 0.93, even though Chelsea did register more shots. However, only 2 of those 12 shots on target. 27 touches in the opposition box, 57% possession, 5 corners, 13 fouls committed. I just don't think Chelsea in the second half did enough with all of that possession and with all those touches in the box. I didn't think they did enough. From like 05 to 08, that was the game, bro. There's so many vintage matchups between Benitez and Mourinho or Benitez and Hiddink. Gerrard versus Lampard. Even the early 2010s, bro. Like you had the FA Cup final with the check save on Carroll. You had the Torres brace that ultimately probably got Torres sold to Chelsea. You had some classic games. Obviously, the Gerrard slip. This used to be the game, bro, honestly. 05, 07, 08, 09. Yeah, Chelsea-Liverpool used to be a good game. But honestly, as a neutral, I really enjoyed this one, man. For me, this was this was one of the better Premier League games I've seen between the big teams. Typically, when you see these big teams kind of play against each other, you're always fearful that it's going to be like a KG matchup. Both teams are going to be afraid not to lose. It's like a feel-out game. It's too early in the season to drop points, but credit to Maresca and credit to Slot. I think both of them really went into this game. I think they both really went into this game looking to like put their mark on proceedings, show the world that they're serious at the start of the season. And it goes back to Liverpool. Like I said in the last video that I kind of talked about them. Why can't they win the league this season? Why not? The main thing people were saying was, oh, they haven't been challenged this year. Well, the first game that they've played against a traditional Big Six team, they've beat Chelsea, and I think deservedly so. Now, I know they traveled to Liverpool, they traveled to Arsenal next, and I know they got big Champions League games coming up next, and they still have to play City, they still have to play Spurs, they still have to play Villa. I get they got tough games, but what have we seen from Liverpool to suggest that they can't come out of these games, for the most part, relatively unscathed? Like, no one's going to go invincible, sure. But Liverpool, for me, there's nothing to suggest that when they go to Villa Park, they can't win that game. Why not? Why can't they host City and beat them? Why can't they go to the Emirates next week and get a result? Why not? Is it because it's Slot and not Klopp? I think Liverpool have shown enough now to suggest that, look, they're not going to feel a hangover from the Klopp era. They're here to stay. They're here to continue where they left off. And like I said, I think they look better than they did last year. I think Liverpool are a better team than they were last year. And no matter what anyone wants to tell me, Liverpool challenged for the league last year. They fell apart in the last 8 games. But for most of the season, they were there or thereabouts. I don't know, man. I think people have made it out that it's this Arsenal versus City thing. Undoubtedly. And yeah, I would say those two will challenge for the league. But don't count out Liverpool for me, man. You look at the individual match winners that they have. There's too many of them. You look at the impact Slot has had in such a short amount of time. I think you're being ridiculous if you think Liverpool can't seriously challenge for this title. How'd Sancho perform? Didn't get to watch the game. I thought Sancho had a typical Sancho game today. Look, Sancho is not going to, when you look at a winger against Trent, you always kind of imagine, oh, Trent, he's going to get shredded today. Which, by the way, is becoming rapidly a myth. Trent is now slowly starting to repair his resume or his reputation when it comes to 1v1 defending. Trent, I thought, had a very, very good game. But Sancho is just never going to be your winger that rips apart your fullback. It's never going to happen. I'm sorry. You're going to have the odd game where he plays out the right and he has a really good performance against Mendes. but he's not your kind of player that's just going to run at your fullback time after time after time. Sancho is like a connector. He connects the play. He combines well with other people. He wants to do 1-2s with guys. He wants to give it and go. Pass and move. And he likes sliding the ball in behind to a guy to kind of finish off a move. But he's not the kind of player that's going to run at your fullback. He's never been that kind of player. But I think in a game like this, you have to have way more of an impact on the game. Was anybody shocked when when Sancho came off at halftime? You weren't. Thoughts on Chelsea? Are they that bad as everyone has been saying? I don't think so. Who's saying Chelsea are bad? Is that what the timeline is saying today? I thought Chelsea held their own today. Experience sets Liverpool ahead, I must say. Bro, that's what I'm saying, right? You can talk about Arne Slot's first year in the Prem, but seriously, does anybody see Arne Slot going to play Arsenal and Arteta's gonna he's gonna have a masterclass against Arne Slot? No, I think it'll be a very well contested game tactically. I think Arne Slot can hold his own against Mikel Arteta. Does anybody think he's gonna go to City and Pep and City are just gonna play Liverpool off the park? I don't think so. I think Liverpool are going to be in every single game that they contested this year. And then when you look at the talent that they got, and also, like you said correctly, the experience that they have, Salah, Trent, Van Dijk, Alisson, these guys have been, Robertson, they've been in numerous title challenges. And then when you look at the players that they've added to kind of like complete the set, the likes of Konate, the likes of McAllister, the likes of Diaz, the likes of Jota, this is a damn good team, man. Only Pep Guardiola, who won his first 10, has reached 10 wins in all competitions as a Premier League manager in fewer matches than Arne Slot, who has won 10 of his first 11 games with Liverpool. Pep won his first 10 games with Manchester City. God damn. Is that 16-17? Wow. Do I still think Chelsea can get top 4? Yeah, why not? I think it's between them, Villa, and Spurs. But why can't Chelsea do it? Are people really saying Chelsea were bad today? I think they were a little lackluster in the second half in front of goal, but I didn't think they played bad whatsoever. People aren't used to managers winning in their first year. The last was Conte. I'm not saying Liverpool are going to win it. If you have to ask me, I'm not going to bet against City. Like, as suspect as City looked defensively to start the year, I would be an idiot to rule out City. City are the favorites. But why not? Why can't Liverpool win the league? I think they played okay. I think Chelsea were okay in the second half. I thought the first half they were very good. TBH, this Liverpool team was stacked last year. Shouldn't be that surprised. They're doing well under him, given what he was doing at Feyenoord. And the thing is, I keep saying it, last year they were very, very good. But how many times did Liverpool go behind 1-0 early on? Numerous times. That was their Achilles heel. And for most of the season, we were calling them mentality monsters and comeback kings because every time they go down 1-0 within the first 10 minutes and they always come back late in the game. But the question was, is it sustainable? If you keep conceding the first goal, how many times can you come back without it actually costing you? And eventually, towards the end of the season, it hurt them. But this year, how many times have Liverpool actually gone down 1-0 under Arne Slot? Definitely less times than they did under Klopp in the first 10 games. Definitely. They've been behind one time against Forest, right? Or against Milan as well, too, to be fair. Managers really make the difference. No doubt.